All right. Thanks once again for joining me. I'm your host, Derek Lane. Thanks for joining the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. Glad you could be on board today. Got thinking about the subject matter for today, and a couple of things that's kind of occurred to me, and haven't spent a lot of time talking about it, so we'll kind of touch on it right now. And that is the ability to be instinctive, to feel, a guttural instinct that, just that feeling, either positive or negative, but having an instinct for something, having a feeling for something. How do you cultivate it? What does it mean? And how to make it work for you. So, being instinctive, again, can be positive or negative. So, how do you know when you have a positive instinct? Well, scientists will tell us that there are some key signs. One is a sense of warmth that kind of comes over your body. Next is the ability to breathe effortlessly. Just kind of have a easy breathing technique. Clarity of vision. When you start to see things a little clearer, sometimes you have that little fluttery butterfly, that's not a nervous, but more of a giddy. You always make the joke about the giddy schoolgirl, but just that kind of joyous feeling in your stomach. And then also having more of a relaxed stomach, relaxed shoulder, relaxed posture, feeling, more, at ease with your whole body. So those are some of the positive signs to look for when you've got a positive instinctive mode. Now, what about the negative? Well, scientists tell us that when you're in a negative instinctive mode, you kind of start to feel a little icy, a little cold, particularly your hands, your feet, your extremities. Maybe a little twinge in your chest, just that little, upset stomach. When something bad, you kind of feel something bad starting to happen, your stomach does get in a little knot, a little twist. And then being on what I call high alert, being very attuned to something, it's kind of like when you're watching a scary movie, you're like, oh gosh, something's going to happen, you're on high alert. Also having low energy or zero energy, just fatigue feeling, just like for no reason, you're just like, ugh. Also headaches, maybe body aches, like say stomach aches kind of go with that upset stomach, but the onset of headaches sometimes is a prelude to something that, negative, you can feel something negative happening. So those are some of the signs, things to work and watch out for, okay? But what is our instinct? Well, an instinct is kind of knowing something without having the proof or the verification of it. You just kind of know it. It's a feeling, a gut feeling. And then just like I talked about, the reason that they call it a gut feeling is because so much of it is tied to your stomach that it's, it's either, a happy fluttering or it's a nervous twist. So what do we do? You want to cultivate your instinctive nature. You want to pay more attention to it. The nice thing about being in an instinctive nature is that you're living in the moment. You kind of tune yourself in to things that are happening now. And if if you listen to some of the podcasts where I talk about living in the moment, living in the now, and that's your life. Your life is happening now. So why not take advantage of living in the now? So living in the now means that, again, you're more instinctive. I would encourage you, and I've talked about this before, maybe keep a journal, a writing log. I say when a journal, sometimes it kind of comes off as, geez, I don't have time to, carry around and do my diary. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about jotting down ideas, things that come to you throughout the day. You're driving, you're in a meeting, you're in an elevator, you're having lunch, and you just get these thoughts. You just get this kind of weird inclination about something, positive or negative. Take a moment just to jot it down and then let it go. That way you can let it go and you don't have to, spend a lot of time thinking about it. Just jot it down. Know you can come back to it. I always do like this. I always like jotting things down, thoughts and messages that kind of come to me. Maybe something somebody said that was a little off that I didn't really catch or understand fully, and I'll write it down. And at the end of the day, I come home I can sit at my office and kind of review those thoughts and those feelings that I get. Review what's going on, what went on in my day. Sometimes I can make sense out of it. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes you want to push that over to the next day. But the thing is, you don't want to dwell upon it. I've said many times, mental effort defeats itself. Don't dwell upon it. If you don't understand it, just kind of back burner it. Maybe revisit it the next day. Also, developing your intuition. Again, meditation is good for that. Again, I've told you I'm not a big, yoga, with my knees bent in the floor, type thing. I'm just not that way. But what I do is reflect. In a silent period of time, I reflect kind of everything in my life, but then go, let it go as quiet, blank as possible. There are so many benefits to meditation. Won't get into that. That's a different podcast, but you owe it to yourself to check that out. Sometimes just taking your mind off everything and just kind of immersing yourself into something silly, a 10-minute game or whatever, just something to kind of shift focus. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes making sure that you get the right sleep and just letting your brain work on things while you sleep is a big benefit to you. But we're talking about an instinctive nature and how sometimes it keeps you out of harm's way. So many times, there's so many stories out there. I didn't want to start naming all these different stories, but there's so many stories out there, if you want to take the time to look them up, about how intuition potentially saved people's lives and kept them out of harm just because people listened to their gut and their health. If something doesn't feel right in your body, have it checked out. Have it checked out. Early diagnosis for anything can usually minimize, something that could potentially be a bigger, more worse health scare. Intuition helps with decision making. Be fair, be reasonable. I always say, weigh things out. The old Ben Franklin, what's the pros, what's the cons? Write them down, weigh it out. At the end of the day, your instinctive nature, your gut feeling, is going to have a lot to do with it. Now, with instinct, we all know that humans are on the hierarchy scale of animals. We have a larger capacity for thinking and cognitive reasoning, deduction, just a higher level of intelligence. Animals, dogs and cats and whatever, turtles, whatever it is, they don't have that luxury. So by nature, they're so instinctive and they rely on their instincts. They're so instinctive. This is how they operate. This is how their lives operate. Food, shelter, fight or flight, reproduction. All of these things are basically unconditional reflexes. Pavlov kind of showed everyone with the ringing of the bell and the dog. That exercise was really just kind of proving what we know, that animals, are instinctive and they can be conditioned to be even more conditional. Now, some scientists will tell you that the right brain, left brain, what I call the battle, because it's always right brain, left brain, right brain. It's always going on. So one's doing something, one's doing another. One's being creative, one's being logistical. One's being sinister, one's being helpful. Whatever the case may be. It's kind of your yin and yang, your left brain, right brain. But scientists kind of conclude that the right part of your brain is the more intuitive side. So you're taking in things unconsciously, maybe sometimes unbeknownst to you, that your brain is taking in your surroundings, things that seem off, things that seem out of place, things that seem proper, people, the smell, the actions of people, and the looks in their eyes. The right brain calculates this nonstop, all the time, just you don't have to think about it. You don't have to train your brain. It doesn't. That's part of that natural ability of your brain to do so. And your left side is doing the functionality. It's just doing your normal logistical thing. So when this information is kind of uploaded to your left side, and your left side starts to determine that, something is not quite even kilter. Something's off just a bit. And that's what it is. That's in the intuitive side. Now, intuition, again, develop it, use it to your advantage, use it to promote people, to hire people to work for you, use it to promote yourself. There's so many benefits of having, an intuitive side. So many benefits to being able to kind of understand what your physiological being is saying, what your body, your brain, in concert tells you and warns you about. It's one of these, it's nothing that you can say. It's an intangible. It's not anything that you can just go, hey, well, my intuition did this and did this and did this. No, it's because it's a feeling. It's not math. It's not a calculated rhyme or reason. It's augutorial, okay? So you have to understand that. You have to understand that there's a certain amount of faith and trust that you put into your instinct, your intuition, okay? Being a person of intuition allows you to separate some bad things from the good things. And I'm sorry if I confused you with instinct and intuition, but it's kind of goes back to my old college days and the connection there. So, but anyway, I'm really talking about the intuition as the instinct of people, intuitive instinct. Okay. So with that, I think kind of talked enough about that. Hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this will give you a greater understanding of who you are and how you can benefit and continue on your success path. And once again, thank you guys for listening to the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. I'm your host, Derek Lane. I wish each and every one of you the best. You can reach me at my email, Derek@fastlanepodcast.com, Derek@fastlanepodcast.com. Leave me any kind of message. I'll get back with you. Thanks for the folks that have. I appreciate you. Some interesting comments and things lately, so keep those coming in. I appreciate it. Listen to this podcast on Spreaker, on Stitcher, on Google Play, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify. The list goes on, and I appreciate you guys very much, very, very much, and have a great and wonderful day.